Thank you for being here, or when you join. Go ahead and put earrings on. I will. Thanks for being here. Okay, so welcome again to Female Reverence. Oopsies, Sundays. I'm Amy, the your host, and hopefully you got the post I missed last Sunday. Um, and I did make a post in the community relating another video. I hope you got to check it out. And also, I recently posted a couple of songs, one from Mama T around the Black Madonna, and another one written by Daughter of the Fates, Floyd. Cassandra Faye Floyd. If you don't know who either of those are, they are other influencers who speak about the Great Mother as well, just differently. And the songs are amazing. Absolutely amazing. I hope you get a chance to check them out. Also, just a reminder why it's Female Reverence is because of the 9 and how both numbers through Gematria, which I need to make a video about. Also, we'll do a live around that, talking about how numbers and words come back, or how numbers come back to, I said numbers again, letters, and our alphabet, and others come back to numbers. Okay, so we're going to do a little review and refresh around the Fisher women, or Fisher mothers of Southern California, because that was in my last video a couple weeks ago. And today, so a little refresher. So in that quote around the Fisher women of Southern California, it was specifically talking about the matriarchal mothers that lived on the coast. And this, we see this reflected in a lot of spirituality. The mothers of the coast who were responsible for the fishing, the collecting of shells, understood the tides in the water, watched the moon, and were aware of stars as well. And this relates to many of the tribal people of this area that still are recognized or still have names known. I have done videos on a few of them, such as the Kimaiai or Kimaiai of the San Diego Torrey Pines region. And I looked into them because I had been to Balboa Park and I went to the Museum of Man, and I thought, well, whose land was this? Whose land is this? So it's linked to the Kumeyaay, and they have some specifics around these great mothers and ancient relatives, but one of their practices is to keep the name sacred. So unless you are part of the tribe or are part of these ceremonies, you may not ever hear the names or see them given through, say, research and that type of thing. Another group is the Tongva, which I have also done a little video around. And this is a group within the LA Basin and the Catalina Islands and San Pedro. So it's linked to the ocean, right? Oshun. All right. Welcome. And Yamanya, as far as water mothers. And they have their own names. These are names that we are familiar with today, but these groups had different names for said beings or energies, elements also. Then we have the Chumash of Santa Barbara area and the Channel Islands. And then we have the Olone, or the Essaline. Oh, why did I put that together when I was researching this? Essaline, like the Essene? I wonder. They're spelled very similarly. Okay. And the Rumsen of Monterey area and Carmel. And then we have the Yuman in the Gulf of California peoples, and This is a little southern of the San Diego area, but they're all linked with the water. Okay. So, and deeply tied to the water. Women first, they harvested abalone, oysters, clams, sea urchins, kelp, seaweed, green sea greens, and used the seaweed as medicine. Also, small fish, those fisherwomen. Okay. They also controlled the shoreline economy, the Great Mothers, right? They made the nets, they wove the willow, the tulle, and the plant fiber baskets for trapping. They managed the drying tracks, the smoking pits, and the trade of goods. They controlled the food stores for winter, storing food for winter. And they were the storytellers of the tides. And how do you recognize tides? You recognize tides from not only watching the waters, but watching the moons and the stars and the seasons. Okay. So this is where I talk about a great mother's knowledge, and they go into that, the mother's moon knowledge. This is how they also determined harvesting days. And of course, watching the waters became not water navigators. The Chumash and the Tongva are known for this, but all the groups connected to water are known for this. And so they navigated short crossings, kelp forests, tide pools, the transport of goods. And they were trained to read the currents along with the stars. And it says here that the Spanish accounts recorded Indian women paddling gracefully in the surf. Okay, so there's a little bit about the Gulf Fisher Mothers of California. And that was to not just for myself, but for you all, because I had mentioned it in my last live. Okay, now, because we're doing female reverence, one of my friends that I talk with often, whenever we talk about the female and we go into like spiritual aspects, and we speak about how when it comes to humans, we often, I've done it. I, I I love this perspective because in doing what a lot of us can do is we focus on female humans and male humans, and we group. And I grew up with this, with like the male lion of the tribe, or the pride, or the stallion of horses. And if you've watched my videos, I've gone into how those are both incorrect. The female runs the pride, and the mare, which is where we get the word nightmare, and mare in general, comes from the female horse and the ruling of that pack, or herd, because horses are herd animals, and so the female controls that. So when we go into talking about male behavior, when you look at males in nature, there's two things that happen. One is that they either follow along with the great mothers in that group or clan, pod, whatever it is, or they are pushed out. And then when you get into smaller creatures like ants, bees, and, well, I shouldn't say ants because I haven't looked into that, but bees and spiders, the males die. Either they die after mating or they are unalived after eating, but most of them just die. And so you see that also in nature, well, not with birds, they don't die. They either mate up or they get selected. And so today's there's so much in that when it comes to nature. And there's a saying that the teacher is nature. The best teacher is nature. This is where we learned everything in the first place, and being outside, watching animals, watching other groups, watching them figure out where water was, watching them run away from the shore when there had been an earthquake, maybe far out. You see what I'm saying? We paid attention to those kind of things. So today we go into elephants, and it's fascinating. And you can see how animals influenced much of what we we do. And then I'm going to lead that into Ganesha, because Ganesha is a well-known deity, and the story behind Ganesha. Okay, so many of us already know, but elephants are matriarchal. And there are two groups of elephants. There's three groups, but they're well known as the Asian and the African elephant. And with knowledge around Africa and the Americas, I now wonder if these were names given later to compensate for the miseducation we've been given, or if there's substantial truth to that teaching. Okay, because we're learning things have been flip-flopped. Okay, elephants are the grandmothers of Earth. I, I've always felt this about whales and elephants. They are the largest, and they have this knowledge that it seems though few of us get to have experience with. Okay. They are they are one of the most emotionally intelligent groups. They have a social complex and a spiritual significance that we can definitely relate to. They have an incredible memory. They are matriarchal run. The um, the grandmothers of the group show everyone else where water is, certain trails to stick with. Okay, so the species of elephant are the African savanna elephant. They are the largest land mammal on Earth, and they are distinctive by their fan-shaped ears, and they are female-led, and they are found across the sub-Saharan Africa. And then we have the African forest elephant. They're a little smaller, they have more rounded ears, and they are a bit more secretive, staying deep within the rainforests. They are endangered right now, and they are known as the gardeners of the forest. Then we have the Asian elephants. They are they're smaller than the African species, and they have a more rounded head with twin domes. You'll see like these little domes on the top of their heads, and only the males in that group grow tusks. Okay, so within the females of the elephant tribe, there is self-recognition, and they actually pass that on to the next generation. They have wonderful memories, long-term memories. They can remember, like I said, water in places they may not have been in decades. They have grief rituals. One of the stories I heard many years ago was about an elephant that went something like 80 miles, if not longer or farther, to grieve a human caregiver. So that's the other thing. They remember who treats them well, humans, and they remember who does not treat them well. All right. And they have very complex social bonds. They walk on their tippy toes, actually, and they have this sensory through their feet that goes through their entire bodies. They also have their trunks, and their trunks have 40,000 muscles, just their trunks. And the trunks are used for like a hand, for breathing, for cleansing themselves, like snorkeling up water and spraying that on themselves. Elephants also cry real tears, and they can experience post-traumatic stress disorder, and they understand when another elephant is suffering or is transitioning. Um, as I said, they 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 will also turn other things into tools, like branches. They turn them into fly swatters, and they'll create water holes by digging with their tusks. They will also move trees with tusks and their trunks, and create boundaries or undo boundaries. They speak through rumbling frequency sounds, and they feel the vibrations through the ground. And that's why I mentioned their feet. And I mean, when we talk about some of the witch trials and what happened during witch trials is the significance of removing women from walking on the ground because they were connected to the earth. So I look at that showing how we watch nature to learn and how we watch nature to express our connection to the earth and the elements. Elephants can communicate up to 6 miles away through trumpet calls, through vibrations they feel in the ground, and through pheromones. Now, the matriarchal structure, the oldest female. It's always the oldest female. So we see also the passing on of information through the mother, through the great mothers, through the elder mothers. Okay. So, oh, yeah. Okay. So their trunk is a nose, an upper lip, a snorkel, a hand, a water hose, and a communication tool. It contains 40,000 muscles. And modified the tusks for digging, stripping bark, fighting, and lifting. Their feet um, have can detect distinct thunder or certain calls, and again, what's happening around them. We saw also, well, we saw that, but there was a small video of the element, the elephants at the San Diego Zoo. I think it was at the San Diego Zoo. It might have been a different zoo, but there had been an earthquake, and all the elephants gathered together like immediately. Immediately, they knew exactly what to do because of the vibrations. Like knowing the vibrations before it actually hit, like they were on it. Their skin is about an inch thick, but still very sensitive and can sunburn easily. Mud acts as a sunscreen. And their ears are used to cool themselves. They fan, and then the blood through the veins of their ears gets cooler. And as we already know, the African elephant's ears are shaped like Africa or South America, however you want to look at it. And they can weigh up to, their hearts, can weigh up to 45 pounds. Okay. So when it comes to memory and time, this is a connection that we can see that humans have, and their emotional intelligence. And so if we are a group of people, wherever we're at, and one of the herds or groups around us is animal, and it is the elephant, we would watch them. We would see what they were doing. We would connect to what is happening in nature. We would have figured out without scientists that the grandmother ran the herd. Many of the male elephants will stay around the mothers. I think I would just want to make sure that I'm not confusing that with the other group that I looked up recently, which are orcas. That's another matriarchal group on our planet. I don't want to say that about the males with the elephant, but we do know that the mother runs the group. So what I would guess that a lot of males would follow the grandmother as well until maybe they get into another group, but all the groups follow the mother. So there's that. And they probably defend. I didn't really go into that part. So there's that. I could probably look it up right now. But They the reason why they're first is they're one of my favorite animals, and the matriarchal leadership and how you can definitely see it in them naturally. It's natural. We don't interfere with it. This is how they are. Okay. They are literally an ancient group that holds memory of the earth. And this is the great mothers as well, and females on this planet. They hold the memory of the earth. They hold memory of their own clan and DNA, and they hold memory as well as spiritual, or as well as emotional intelligence. And it's just shared among the group naturally. Okay. And so we see her archetype, we see the elephant archetype slowly, well, not slowly, but originally in the deity Ganesha. So my first learning about Ganesha was female, and a story around her mother and how Ganesha had the head of an elephant but the body of a human. So, with a little, oh, and also before I move into that, so elephants carry what is called infrasound, which is sound that is too low for us to hear. We wouldn't hear it. And it's at a certain hertz. It's between 20 and 2 and 20,000 hertz. So it's below our hearing. That's why it's called infrasound. But elephants, whales, tigers, and some large birds use these sounds that are felt more than heard. I wonder if dolphins are included in that. Um, it is felt through their bone, skin, water, or the ground. They can feel that, the sound. That's pretty rad. And maybe we do connect to it, but we just don't know what to call it. Anyhow, that's how elephants communicate their connection to the earth. Okay, and so this deity or these animals then become deities. And that's one of the other things you see. So they are talking, there are articles and videos around the uncovering of Gogepli Tepe. Go Gogepli Tepe. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And on there are lots of murals of animals, kind of like sculptures of animals. And we can go back through so many indigenous histories, and most of what is exemplified or drawn or shown are animals. So we have been shown our connection to animals and nature through these artifacts and artistry of these groups, also showing the connection to the Great Mother, because in understanding these animals we would understand the mother's importance within those groups and herds and such like that. So on to the deities. Okay, so we have Ganesha. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's go back. Because I was asking, what is infrasound? Which I think is so cute. Not cute, but, well, it is cute, but cool as well. Okay, let's see. All right. So, from my own experience around Ganesha, so it is also said that Thoth becomes Jehuti, and Jehuti is linked to Ganesha. Well, if that is true, then, and I've been saying this for a long time, I think Thoth, I think is originally female. And that through like everything was changed to male because males have to be given credit for the world, so to speak, when it comes to outing the Great Mother. We see that in the story of like Marduk and all of that. So let me find this. Yes, Ganesha was originally female. So Ganesha begins as Gajanana, Gajanana, an elephant-faced goddess. Early shrines show that the elephant figure with female chest, wide hips, and unmistakably female posture. Even in Shakta, a mother centered tradition, Ganesha is a guardian daughter of the Great Mother. And then the switch to male came after the Brahmanical takeover, where Brahma became the deity over Ganesha. So the link with Jehuti is suggested is older than Thoth. It is early African kinetic depictions where you have the depiction of Thoth as an ibis. So then they also depict him with a rounded head, feathered textures, and wattles, more like a bird or a turkey than a marsh ibis, which I actually think he's more linked to the turkey because of the beak. I mean, not the beak, but the trunk like figure. But still, the link between Jehuti and Thoth and the elephants. So, and then where that shifted. So we see Ganesha is the daughter of Pavarti, and then Jehuti is a record keeper of Ma'at. And then Thoth is actually Greek. Thoth comes later, even though he's given back to the Egyptian times because he was actually Jehuti in Egypt. So that's interesting. That's interesting because we've been told that they are all linked. And so maybe not. Maybe no, because the Thoth is the Greek representation of Jehuti. So there is a link there. But Ganesha is actually the daughter of Pravarti. So the link may not actually have been there. Maybe that's just something that was kind of either mistaught or misinterpreted by me. I feel like I didn't misinterpret that, but maybe. All right. So over time, the matrilineal symbols became bureaucratic scribes or became kind of indoctrinated through either religion or law. And the female guardian becomes a male advisor to male gods. This is also where Jehuti and Ganesha have connection. The elephant goddess becomes bearded and then remover of obstacles, which a great mother would be. And also, so would an elephant. An elephant can remove obstacles, but they only know that through the grandmother. And then the ground bird memory deity with ibis head, or the patriarchal kind of scribe that came later. So we see this repeated pattern of great mothers turning either into literal males or getting quote unquote demoted from their original position, like Tiamat, Anput, Ishel, or the seven sisters of the Pleiades, which I've also talked about. Okay. And then, so there is a turkey form of Thoth resembling birds, the bluebirds. So the ibis actually came later, and that was through Greek writings. And so what is interesting is, again, the turkey kind of has like a trunk. And Jehuti is linked to Thoth and maybe not Ganesha, but definitely maybe an elephant energy. So interesting. Yeah, the original feminine Ganesha names is um, as I mentioned before. Okay. Let me see. Gajanana. 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 Doesn't that sound kind of like God? And then Janana. Gajanana. Just saying. All right. So elephants, memory, elephant face goddess Ganesha, and a reverence to the females of nature, because my guess and my theory is that that is where we learned most of what we see today as far as groups and following the Great Mother, especially around matriarchal dealings and uh, energy, I guess is the best way to say it. All right. So before I go, I'm going to pull a card from the Sacred Mothers and Goddesses and share a little bit. So we're deep in November now. We're halfway through November, and some of the messages around the next year are that the almost similar to the elephants, where it's a different type of knowing and feeling of the world because they have this infrasound. I was looking at it as hypersensitivity. So the Great Mother has is it was saying the Great Mother is returning or the Great Mother is rising. She's here. She's here. She's not rising anymore. She's fully like standing in uh position, in her righteous position, which is remembrance. The tilt has happened to where many mothers, great mothers living today, remember that it's mother. That's a great mother. And not only remember that it's a great mother, but it is a melanated cosmic mother where our original DNA and mitochondrial DNA stem from. And then we're going to see, so that stability is back. Then what happens is that energy starts moving through the planet. It starts moving through the peoples, and that will bring heightened heightened sensitivity to dreams, to thoughts, the auras, energies, mediumship, and just everyday life. People may not even, some people may not understand it because the feeling is so strong and so obvious. But that is one of the new beginnings that we will see really prevalent next year, is a surge in the metaphysical awareness and also the emotional awareness of us as humans, as great mothers, and the shift that will come with that recognition. That's mostly what I've gotten so far. As far as what we might be seeing next year, and then I'll do a little bit more to see if I can get any kind of specifics like we did around this year. All right, so I'm going to pull a card. Thanks for listening to that. And the card for today is Hecate, Magic and Crossroads. I think I've pulled her before. Look at the bottom of the deck is Yamaya, surrender and soothe. So Hecate, triple goddess, mother of quote unquote witches, magics, medicines, conjuring. She is also the great mother of crossroads. And let's see. There's so much in Hecate. She's one of my faves. And the number given for her here is 13, which I think is also quite appropriate. And Hecate also speaks to speaking, using Heka, using your voice to manifest. Greek, she is mostly known as a Greek goddess and protectress against evil spirits and a bringer of light to guide you through the darkness or to help you understand darkness. She also is the bringer of dark when needed. We have definitely called this card before. A friend to Persephone, queen of the underworld, and she is recognized and honored as the goddess of many contemporary Wiccans, priestesses, and pagans. She is also known as Queen of the Night, which can link her to also Lilith. She also has, like, the dog is one of her animals, or the three-headed dog, also a black cat. I find a lot of links with her to Oya. And then at the bottom of the deck, which is like what's to come sometimes in readings, or the other side of the reading. So we have Yemenya. Her number is 35 on here, which comes to 8. So we're talking water, the ocean, the moon, tides, which is where we started this all with the fisherwoman of California. Yamaya, Yamoja, surrender and soothe. So that has a lot to do with, I find her energy to have a lot to do with emotions and understanding the element of water around our emotions. So she is a goddess mother of the Orishas, a group of deities originating from Africa. Her name means the one who protects her children. She is comforting and inspirational, and she brings soothing to suffering of all, is one of her gifts, especially women and children in crisis. She is worshipped in parts of Cuba and Brazil, where the beliefs of African slaves intertwined with Catholicism. And the story is that they linked a lot of the deities to the Christian saints so that they could continue practicing while staying hidden. And Yemenya is also known as Mami Wata. So mother and I are one would be a link to Yemenya as well. She's the mother of the waters, and she is the goddess of the living ocean, the source of all waters. And so this is where the story can get a little confusing, because Oshun is supposed to be the mother of fresh water, and there's a theory that Oshun and Yamanya were split into two deities, but also there are whole stories around Oshun being her own deity. So just throwing that out there. But those are the 2 cards of the day for this Sunday, number 5 of Female Reverence Sundays. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you next time. May the Great Mother be with you. Mommy and I are one.